right, welcome back into the channel, Eagles family, Eagles Nation. How are we doing today? I heard the chatter on Twitter. I saw it all last night. I'm seeing it again this morning. I talked about it even in last night's game breakdown, but today I want to focus solely on discussing who should the Eagles backup quarterback be? Should it be Kenny Two Gloves, Kenny Check Down, Kenny Pickett, or should it be Tanner McKee? And obviously, a lot of Eagles Twitter specifically is very much on the side of Tanner McKee. And if you watched the breakdown last night, you guys know that I lean with you. However, I don't think that, it's as lopsided as people want to give it credit for. And we're going to talk about that in today's video. I want to start by just giving my general thoughts on the two players and how they are vastly different players. And this will speak to really who you think should come in the game if Jalen Hurts were to ever go down. Because ultimately, the big thing here, and I said it last night, I'll say it again, ideally, neither of these guys see the field this year besides week 18 because the Eagles already locked up the 1 seed. Ideally, one of these guys is holding Jalen Hurts' playbook and the other one's getting him some Gatorade. I don't really care which guy does which job when they're on the bench. However, there is some question marks of if we needed somebody to come in for a series, a drive, or play a game for whatever reason, who would you be more confident in leading the Eagles to victory? On one side, you have Kenny Pickett, who has been a starter before, has over a 500 record as a starter. If you want to attribute that to Mike Tomlin, I understand. And who has played real NFL games, right? A first-round draft pick, whether you think he's worth that or not, there's certainly a prospect profile for him. He is a mobile guy, and he usually makes the safe decision. And there is something to, hey, if this guy has to come in the game, he won't cost us the game. If this guy has to come in the game, he can get the ball very quickly to a Saquon Barkley, very quickly to a Devonta Smith, to an A.J. Brown, and let them be the star of the show. He has no problem handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley 3 straight plays in a row, if that's what required of him. He has seen NFL defensive coverages, from real first-string defenses before. That's why I don't think that there's a battle going on. Nick Sirianni was asked about this last night, and he basically said, Kenny's our quarterback 2, Tanner's our quarterback 3. We're happy to have a 3-deep quarterback roster, which I do think is fair, right? It's a luxury to be able to say we have 2 potentially good backup quarterback candidates that we could have. And then you have Tanner McKee. And this is the reason a lot of people love Tanner McKee. He plays like Nick Foles. If you watch Tanner McKee, he plays very similar to Nick Foles. He's a bigger size quarterback. Now, McKee's a little bit more happy feet and mobile than Foles, but he's not afraid to take the deep shot. He can make throws over the middle with higher precision and accuracy than Kenny Pickett can. Your big argument, if you are a Tanner McKee believer, is, hey, this guy can zip it in there and the playbook doesn't need to be shrunk down for Tanner McKee. I also think McKee runs the risk of, if we put him in the game, it being like, hey, he might go not into business for himself, because that is the wrong way to word it. I don't want to say, oh, he's going to go into business for himself, but he'll be willing to take a riskier play than a Kenny Pickett would. Now, on last night's game, the Eagles beat the Patriots 14-13. Tanner McKee looked better than Kenny Pickett. And I'm not a box score watcher, but I do think the box score could bring some context here if we bring it up. When we look at this box score, right, you see Tanner McKee 15 for 19, 140 yards, 7.4 yards per pass. Kenny Pickett 11 of 13, 67 yards, 5.2. So obviously the box score checks out, right? Tanner McKee willing to throw the ball down the field, willing to take, I don't want to say the deep shot, but willing to throw past the sticks. And Kenny Pickett, very check down heavy. Is there a deeper meaning for this? Well, let's go further down. Both guys 0 touchdowns, 0. Oh, okay. So here we go. Tanner McKee, 0 sacks. Kenny Pickett sacked 4 times in last night's game. And the pressure was very much coming on to Kenny Pickett. Why is that the case? Well, Kenny Pickett, when he was out there, the Eagles were playing backups and the Patriots were playing their starters. versus when McKee got in the game, you're talking about backups and third stringers versus each other. So, Tanner McKee was in a much friendlier situation to succeed last night than Kenny Pickett. And again, I am a Tanner McKee is who I would want to start a full game for the Eagles if Jalen Hurts were to miss a week, because Kenny Pickett, I think he really shrinks down what you could do as an offense. And I think that defenses would have a much easier time game planning for a Kenny Pickett than a Tanner McKee. But I will say this, on the inverse, if Jalen Hurts were to just go into the tent in the middle of a game and we need somebody to take over a drive, that's where I prefer a Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett isn't going to do anything to cost you that drive. He's not going to commit the turnover that, really swings the game while Jalen is quick in and out of the tent potentially. Kenny Pickett's just going to get the ball to Saquon, run the screenplay, run the bubble screen, execute it correctly. Whereas I think Tanner McKee has the potential of, this is my moment, let me make some noise. And it's interesting because I've never looked at the backup quarterback as who do we want situationally in certain spots? But I do think it's fair to look at the Eagles' backup quarterback situation and think one guy would be better in one situation than another. Ultimately, if Jalen Hurts missed multiple games, I do wish it was Tanner McKee. More so than anything, I wish Tanner McKee would get a shot to flip-flop roles with Kenny Pickett in these preseason games. I don't know if it would hurt. I don't know if it would send the wrong message, and that's just not worth the locker room for the Eagles coaching staff. But listen, if you wanted to know, switch their positions. Let Tanner McKee be the guy that faces all this pressure and see what he does. Let Kenny Pickett roll out there with defenses that are less than what he has been seeing and just see how things play out. Ultimately, Kenny Pickett getting a lot of hate for being Kenny Checkdown. I actually don't blame him in last night's game. He was getting a lot of pressure. If you were watching, that offensive line was giving up pressure on Kenny Pickett that Tanner McKee did not face. But Tanner McKee, fan favorite, darling favorite, kind of reminds me of Nick Foles, so I get it. Right now, he's the Eagles' darling, and he has certainly played better than Kenny Pickett. I will say this, I haven't been at the practices, I haven't been at training camp. I'm going to trust the coaching staff in the sense of Kenny Pickett probably has more pro tendencies than Tanner McKee, solely on the fact that he has been a starter in the NFL for seasons at this point in time. But that's just my thoughts on the Eagles' current backup quarterback situation. Let me know yours in the comment section. Again, like I said at the beginning, ultimately, hopefully, it doesn't matter because these guys are just, holding the Microsoft Surface tablet for Jalen Hurts at the end of the day. I will catch you guys for another video either later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. I'll see when I want to drop it. I'm going to be talking about if the Eagles should be playing their offensive starters in their preseason games. You do not want to miss that. I will catch you guys later. Fly, Eagles, fly. Peace out.